Exclamation, everybody, and welcome back to Cube Ramblings. For me, it is a Sunday morning, August the 9th, 2013. We're just past midnight here as I am recording this. Very, very wiped out at the moment. This might be even lower energy than my normal stuff, which is pretty low energy to begin with, so I don't know if that's even possible. Possibly a paradox will happen and some black hole will open up and swallow the world whole or something. Not entirely sure, but I have recorded today about at this point about 4.5 hours of footage. So I did a bunch of The Witcher 3, which has its new patch out, 108 patch. I was playing with that. And there was something in my inventory. I'm like, what is this thing? It was some wolf's thing. And I just looked at the patch notes, just a few minutes ago as I was preparing for this, episode here and realized that was added as part of the patch because people had entire armor sets that they couldn't wear because they increased the level needed for some armor. And this was a way to allow them to continue to wear that armor for an hour of in-game time, and then that gives them a chance to level up enough to be able to wear it permanently, all that stuff. So that was an interesting thing. Because I was looking at it in my inventory, it was some kind of drinkable thing. And it was like temporarily reduces the level requirement for armor and weapons by 2 levels. And I'm like, what? When did I pick this up? I don't remember picking this up. I didn't. It was added as part of the patch. So there's that for people who are having problems, along with a lot of other bug fixes and quest fixes and all kinds of stuff like that, performance issues and things like that they fixed. So very cool. Still very much enjoying my romp through The Witcher 3. Every time I sit down with it, and it's only like once a week that I sit down with it, but every time I do, I enjoy very much my all the stuff that there is in the game to do. Although this playthrough, I end up a lot of the side quests kind of telegraphed their story quite a bit, and I was able to guess at the story for a couple of them, and you'll hear that on camera as I do it. But it was in some ways some of the side quests were a little bit too predictable, as far as what the story is, if you're paying attention enough. But still a lot of fun to play, so I was still enjoying it quite a bit, and that's always a good thing, because that's going to be a long series. It's probably going to be, I would say, almost as long as this series has been, and this is the longest series I've had on my channel. This is episode 103 technically, although for Cube Ramblings it's like 74 or something like that. So yeah. Yeah, this is the longest one going on my channel, the very first one going on the channel. But The Witcher may end up competing with that for episode numbers anyway. So been playing that a bit, and then I jumped over into Driver San Francisco and played about an hour and a half of that, recorded that. Making some more progress there, getting close to the end on that as far as the story goes. I spent quite a bit of time doing the dare challenges, trying to stunt dares and all that stuff, trying to unlock all the abilities that I can, and I do a lot of the side quests on it like I do anything else. I don't know that I will finish all the side quests. We'll see. I might end up finishing all of them. I don't know. But I do want to finish the story. I know once I've finished the story, I will probably end the series there. And I probably won't go back and finish any of the unfinished, side quests or anything like that. So I'm trying to make sure I do a lot of side quests up front in the game, because I know as soon as I hit that final story mission, which If I remember correctly from the Let's Plays that I saw, the final story mission is balls hard. So I suspect I will be replaying that several times over just to get it recorded. But when I get to that point, once I've completed that, I probably would stop the series there, even if I had unfinished side quests. So you'll see in the recording session I did this week that I spent pretty much the entire hour and a half just doing dares and side quests and all those things, and just I think I only did one main story mission during it. But that's just because I do want to make sure I play as much of the game as I can. But I know that once I get to the end, that's it. I'm at the end of it. So that's the way that is going with Driver San Francisco. And earlier in the week I played some more of Dishonored, so I'm still making some progress with the Brigmore Witches DLC. I don't know how much longer I have left on it. I'm at a point where it does the same thing that the Knife of Dunwall did, which is you get to a certain mission, and then suddenly you do a lot of backtracking where it opens up a little bit, it gives you a bunch of side missions to do, and then you sort of go back and forth a little bit. So I don't know how much time is left of the DLC, but I'm still enjoying that as well. And then once that's done, that's done. The reason I bring that up is because I think once I finish Dishonored, I don't think I'm going to have a 10:30 time slot for AAAs on Mondays anymore. I'll probably make it some other day of the week, because obviously when I continue to do some AAA games, I will still do them twice a week. But I might only do one AAA game twice a week, because I do want to focus more on the indie stuff that I've been doing. And I also would like to try and get back to some sandbox games. I have been really sort of getting a little bit more hooked on Empyrion Galactic Survival, which is a early alpha, early access game on Steam that is basically Space Engineers, but it's already ahead of Space Engineers in some cases, where it's you actually have planets now. You have planetary landings. You start out on a crashed with your escape pod crashed on an alien planet, and it's got some survival mechanics. You have to find oxygen and food to sustain yourself, and then basically go and mine resources and stuff. It gives you a whole bunch of resources to begin with, enough to make either your first base or your first ground vehicle, whichever you want to do first. And then you can go and basically from there it just opens up. It's a sandbox at that point. And you can mine resources. It'll mark those will get marked on the map when you scan and they find them. It does like an auto scan as you walk around looking for resources. It's a really nice game. It still has a lot to go. It still has a lot. You can see. It reminds me some ways of the early alphas of Minecraft, where it's like there's some balancing issues that really need to. There's some grindiness that really needs to be addressed. And hopefully that'll get addressed sooner rather than later. But the grindiness comes from just it's not even really a traditional grindiness. It's kind of a weird problem to have right now, where they give you a generous amount of supplies to start out with, which I don't know if they're always going to do that or not, but I kind of hope they do, unless they change the way they do the crafting system. But the way the crafting system works is, you've got a constructor, and in there you put all your raw materials, and then you have to make the small components, and then combine those small components to make the larger stuff, and so on and so forth. And it's all done within that one window. So it's like, all right, if I want to build a motor, for instance, which is needed for some larger stuff, then I need 3 electronics and 5 pipes and what's the other thing, like metal plates and all those little, like, those are sort of the first tier materials, or like the ingots and the metal plates and the electronics and stuff like that. And then if you want to build like a computer, it's a combination of 2 of those things, and then sometimes you need 2 computers for a higher level abstraction, because you've got like oxygen tanks that you can make, and oxygen generators, which you put over water and it generates oxygen out of it for you, fills up tanks for you, and then food processors and base cornerstone blocks, as well as your ground vehicle sort of cornerstone blocks and all those things, because you sort of have to gather up all kinds of resources to make the cornerstone. And then once you put that down, then it becomes okay, this is your base, you own it, because it's a multiplayer game too, so you can play with other people on a server. And so that's the way for the game to signify that, okay, the person who put this down is the owner of this base, and they're the one that have control of the base and all that stuff. So and then also the core becomes the thing that you need to defend, because obviously somebody else can come in and destroy your base if they manage to destroy your core and all that stuff. So it's got some depth to it right now as far as the crafting goes. It is, like I said, it's tedious as far as the crafting goes, because you will literally, I have 2 live stream feeds. One that got, for some reason, cut off at 45 minutes. I don't know why YouTube stopped recording at 45 minutes, but it did, and I don't have a local recording of it, so you're stuck with that. I actually live streamed for 2 hours, and the live stream was up for 2 hours, so I don't know what happened there with that. But the other live stream that I did on Friday, that is up there in full, and that's another 2 hours on top of that. I actually started the world all over again, and I'm probably going to start all over again because I found out so many different things with how things are working there, and started off the world all over again and tried to do a different path. So like the first live stream I did, I tried to make a ground vehicle, and I made one, but it didn't work so well. I kept getting hung up on the terrain, and I couldn't go up hills, and I don't know if that's just a limitation of it, or if it's just the way that if I built it too heavy and I didn't have enough thrusters on it. I don't know what it was. I don't know what was causing it, but it was annoying and I couldn't do anything with it. And I used up all my resources, so I would have to mine a bunch to do anything more with that. So I start over a new world, a new survival world, and they have survival and creative in it. And I decided to build a base, and was pretty darn successful. I got all the way up to the end, like 2 hours into it. At the very end of the live stream, I kind of got frustrated and stopped doing it. Just stopped the stream. Because I had I'd gotten the base together, I'd found, resources I needed, I'd mined them, and everything was coming together. I had, the small generators and all those things that place on the base, except for the oxygen stuff, and base wasn't working. Like I had the, creation thing on there, what do they call it, the constructor on there, the large constructor, all that stuff, and nothing was being powered. And then right after I finished the live stream, I'm like, let me just look around and try some things. And apparently my whole problem was, I got it working. My whole problem was that I just didn't turn the power on. There's a control panel, and it had mentioned it in a tooltip, but I couldn't remember what the tooltip said because it flashed up pretty quickly and left. But apparently when you build a base, if you hit P, it brings up your control panel, and in there's an on-off switch for the actual base itself, and you have to turn that on, and then your base, everything that's on your base then is powered. So it was couldn't figure it out. I'd finally figured it out, and then everything started to fall into place. I'm like, okay, I think I understand what's going on here now. I had some combat as well with, I went looking for there's a derelict ship nearby that had some sentry drones on it that killed me a couple times. But then I was able to destroy that, and so I know how many bullets that takes, sort of, and various things like that. So I've been having a lot of fun. Even though it's tedious and, you spend hours, literally hours, just staring at that damn constructor screen waiting for it to do stuff. It's still a great amount of fun. I'm debating in my head whether to continue doing it as strictly as a live stream thing or to make a series on it. The reason I hesitate is because if I make a series on it, it's going to be one of those things where I'm going to have to do lots of editing. And it's probably going to be very short episodes of it, because unless I just do it like I'm doing now, where it's like, you know what, I'm just going to, talk about anything and just while stuff is constructing. Because the big problem with it is that constructor screen, I will literally sit on there for entire episodes, because as I'm building and doing stuff in there, it takes forever to actually go through and get all the components together for the big reveal, so we'll see, or I'll just adopt the thing that a lot of Minecraft players do and just do a whole lot of that off camera and then just come back in when I've made some progress. But again, it's like every time you make a little bit of progress, there's a setback because now you've done the base, and now you got to do the oxygen tank, and that's going to take forever and a day. That takes like an hour to build that, and then now you need a way to get the oxygen into your suit, so you got to build the oxygen booth that's for the base, and then that takes an entire episode just to build that, because you need all these resources, and you got to go through all that. It takes 2 hours just to build that, and it's just after a while it just gets to be ponderous, just with that same screen over and over and over again. But it's one of those things that lends itself a lot better to a multiplayer experience, because everybody can share those responsibilities of trying to get stuff done and going out and mining and all that stuff. Only one person really has to take the hit of staring at the constructor all day long. But that's, I also think that once you get past the first 3 hours of the game and you actually you have like enough resources to get, say, multiple constructors built in a base, it would probably make things a lot easier, because you could have one constructor that's just constantly churning out like the first tier stuff that you need for all the other tiers of the crafting stuff. So I've been playing lots of that, and I'm enjoying it. I don't know if there will ever be a series on it on this channel or not, but I do have plenty of live streams over on the Memory Leak Doom channel, and I will probably live stream it again some other time as well. So it's not going to go away anytime soon. Not going to go off my radar anytime soon, but it's there, and just want to make everybody aware of it. And maybe possibly I'll do a series on this channel. I don't know. I don't think I can do a side quest video on it, because it's just too there's not a whole lot that I could talk about with it. I mean, there's a lot that I can talk about with it, but it would be hard to put together, I guess. It's easier as a sort of a let's play, so you can see all the stuff, unless I did a creative mode one where I was like, hey, here's how you do this and here's how you do that, which that might be something I could do too. I might consider that. I might just do like a creative mode thing and just show all the stuff in progress, show how it works, or how it would work, together and all that stuff. Probably help me learn how to do the game a little bit better too, probably, so I could see how things go together, as far as like some of the higher level tiers in there. It does make me miss, though, I've said this before, and I'll probably say it many more times after this. I miss the mechanics in Interstellar Rift now. Like, once I've played Interstellar Rift, with the build your ship, here's all the components, build your ship, ahead of time, and then all you need to do, the only grinding you need to do is to get the raw resources, and then it'll just put everything together. The replicator will just make everything for you, and you don't have to manually, go through and say, like, I need 5 of these parts and 6 of these widgets and 10 of these things. It's just like, it's just made for you. It's just like, here's all the raw resources you need. Go get them, put them in there, done. It just spawns it out there, and it's done. You don't have to. The grinding, it comes very much second in that game instead of first. And to a certain extent, they've done that with this by giving you a lot of resources in Empyrion right now, giving you a lot of resources ahead of time. You don't have to go grinding necessarily for and mining out those resources right away. But it's replaced with the grinding of, okay, now I gotta manually put all these things together. I don't have any, like, it's not like in modded Minecraft where you've got, say, buildcraft pipes that you can connect between multiple machines and let the machines all kind of work together for a common goal. This one's like, nope, you are working on an assembly line, and you've got to go make all these different parts, and then put all of them together, make the larger parts, and then make the even larger parts, and then the even larger parts. And it's just like, oof. After a while, you just get, it's just, it gets tedious. But it is still fun, and it's still early, and it's still got a long way to go. And hopefully that's something that they're going to tweak quite a bit of, as time goes on. I think things like just some of those components just take, 35 seconds or more to build, and it's just, after a while, you're just like, you know what? Why don't you just make this an insta build and call it a day? But yeah, that's Empyrion Galactic Survival. I'm playing that. Like I said, I have some live streams out there. You want to look at them. I have one. I actually have a couple on Twitch. Well, I have the one on Twitch and on Hitbox, although I have not made highlights of any of my live streams out there, so those things are going to disappear soon. I really need to get back to doing the highlight stuff. I've just been, since everything's been on, since all the VODs have been on YouTube up to this point, I feel like I don't feel as much pressure to make the highlights on those other services, but I really should, so that they're there. And while I'm on the topic, the YouTube gaming stuff, there's some articles out there. I'm not going to link you to any of them because the APK that I downloaded for Android is not in the Google Store yet, so I don't know how legit it is or not right now. I think it's legit. It seems legit, but it's I don't know. It kind of weirds me out that they don't have it in the store yet, because it is a creator preview, so it's probably not meant to be out there for public consumption, but I still feel like there should have been a way. It's Google, for crying out loud. They should have a way of putting betas up there for themselves, if that's the case. But I've been playing around in the YouTube gaming app. It's supposedly the creator preview app in Android, and it's looking good. It's looking pretty good. It's got like the top 100 Let's Players on it, and I'm not on there, of course. sad face. But it's, it has everyone from, PewDiePie all the way down to, I'm trying to think. I think it went down as far as like 250,000 subscribers, and that's the top 100. And then that was that. So yeah, it's it's looking okay. It's got some different concepts. It does put live streams front and center. It says that some things are auto-generated, but I have a feeling that some of them are actually curated. Like, for instance, I looked at Rocket League for one of the tabs that they had there under popular, and one of the categories they had was top 10 goals in, in Rocket League. And I'm like, well, it's possible an algorithm generated that because maybe there's a lot of videos out there like top 10 goals scored. But I have a feeling that was sort of, that category at least was curated by some human at some point, and then maybe the videos underneath of it aren't, but it felt like it had been a little bit tailored for the thing. And the descriptions they take from, I think, Giant Bomb's database or Wikipedia. Actually, I think they were from Wikipedia, the descriptions of each of the games that show up there. So those are easily scraped from Wikipedia. So that could be all electronically done or all done by bots. But I still feel like there was some kind of human hand in it somewhere along the way there. But other than that, yeah, it's got sort of a, the panels on either side, and then you've got your main scrolling area, and they've got the live streams are emphasizing the most and all that stuff. As I've said numerous times, my main concern is around the content ID stuff. I think if there's one thing that would cause YouTube to not be able to ever unseat Twitch, it would be the content ID stuff, I would say. Because I was reading more into it, and it's even scarier than I thought. Like, it's like, hey, we're doing live content ID scans while your live stream is going on, and if you have visuals that, visual content ID matches, we will replace the visuals with a static image. And then if you don't stop the infringement after a certain amount of time, they will terminate the stream. And then if you get 3 terminations on your stream, then you lose your live streaming privileges for like 6 months or something. So I think that qualifies as a strike against your channel, I guess. I don't know. Or if it's just live streaming privileges are taken away. I mean, it seems to suggest it was just the live streaming privileges. But with all that, and with the way that content ID is abused on YouTube, that's the only thing that gives me pause about it. Like, everything else about YouTube gaming I'm really excited for it. It's just that one thing, because like I want to live stream playing Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I have every confidence that I could do that easily on Twitch and Hitbox without any problems. Doing it on YouTube, though, seems like it would be a problem, because I know from playing, the Star Wars game that I did, what was it, with the Marines and stuff. I forget the name of it now. Republic Commando, that's what it is. I know with that, just having even like 3 notes from a John Williams music in it is enough to get the content ID hit against your channel. So I know that, like, in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, it has the normal opening crawl. Now, some of the other songs and some of the other, videos, cutscenes, probably wouldn't trigger anything, because I think they're sufficiently different. But the opening crawl uses the normal Star Wars March theme, Imperial March theme. And so in order for me to do something like that on YouTube, I would have to mute the audio of the computer until it was done, and then unmute it, which, since I know that would be a problem ahead of time, that's not such a bad idea. But if I'm playing a game and there's some visual content ID match, like, hey, a cutscene or something like that, and this is the first time, and it's a blind playthrough, it's the first time I played the game, that kind of makes the platform untenable, right? Because people are not going to do blind Let's Plays on it, which is the majority of people who do things on, well, I wouldn't say the majority, but it's a good significant portion of the things that people do on both YouTube and on Twitch are like blind Let's Plays. Like, and really, honestly, you need the blind Let's Plays, because you need that, because Twitch embraces that right now. If you've ever noticed, like, when a new release comes out, Twitch is right on top of it, like, hey, we're going to spotlight this game because it just came out. It was like a AAA game or something like that. And consequently, they get lots of views and those are also going to be blind playthroughs because obviously it's brand new and they're playing it for the first time. And you don't know what you're going to encounter, unless enough research has been done. You don't know if a cutscene is going to be claimed by somebody or not, especially on YouTube where there's lots of false claims put in for cutscenes and stuff that's either, if you have a game that has unskippable cutscenes, well, then you're really screwed, right? Because you're going to have to switch away, have some overlay that would prevent that from causing a problem or something like that. So that's the only chilling effect I have with it, and that's the only thing that I'm worried about. Like, I want to stream Knights of the Old Republic. I have to be very careful with it. This is the other reason why I made a separate channel, so that it doesn't end up shutting down my main channel or causing problems with my main channel. If they can sit down and address that elephant in the room and say, like, look, we're gonna do more of a Twitch approach to things where we'll do our content ID if you save the VOD. If you don't save it, then we're not going to worry about it. Then that would be a little bit better, but yeah. Yeah. Again, I'm off on a tangent there. I started out saying, hey, I've played with the YouTube gaming app on Android, and somehow I got onto that. But there you go. There you go. There's all that. I'm not going to go too much more into that. At least try not to, anyway. So, and I've been going through my library as well of some games I have. Like, I guess I got it as part of a bundle. I have Murdered Soul Suspect, and I played like 5 minutes of it. I'm like, oh, okay, this is weird, but I'm kind of interested in it, but not right now. So I've put that back on the shelf. I also heard lots of good things about Titan Quest, which is an old RPG from several years ago, and it was on sale, I think, during the summer sale. And I heard that it was like probably one of the best RPGs ever made, top-down RPGs. So I thought, well, let me try this out a little bit and see what it's like. And it's got the Diablo mechanics on it. You gotta constantly click, to attack things. But it does look like it's got some promise. It's got, the graphics don't hold up so well, but it has some promise as another RPG that I might play. But as I've mentioned before, I'm going to try to keep the RPGs, the long form RPGs, as live streams, because all the editing that I have to do with The Witcher 3 has convinced me that I don't want to do those on YouTube anymore. Which sucks. I mean, there's a lot of RPGs I want to play, but I'm going to end up playing them as live streams, like Satellite Rain and all those things. I mean, I could put them, there's nothing that says I couldn't put them on YouTube without, and do no editing on them, but I feel like that's a cheap way of doing it. Like, I'd rather, if I'm going to not do any editing, I might as well just make it a live stream and just do it that way. And then that way I'll just put the live stream tag on it, and people know when they're coming in, like, hey, this is from a live stream. It's going to be unedited. Just, ahead of time. Here it is. So that's where I'm going with that. So yeah, I have that, and I was looking at Titan Quest and a few other things. I bought Submerged because I saw Generic B playing it, and it's interesting. It's one of those, it's like Time Frame that I played on the channel a little bit earlier, for a side quest like 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago or whatever it was. It's one of those. It's like, it's not necessarily a game, it's more of an experience. You go around exploring and finding treasures and all that stuff. But I got it anyway because it might it might be something I could play on the side as just as a, nice little fun thing, and maybe I'll use some of the footage on, on a channel update or something like that. But yeah, look, I've got that. I haven't actually installed it yet. Well, I have it installed, but I haven't actually played it yet. So there's that. Been playing some more Rocket League as well. I've been playing the single player campaign on that just to try to see if I can get better at the game. And I'm not terrible anymore. I'm not good, but I'm not terrible anymore. So that's something. That's something to look at. I've been thinking about making videos of that. Even though I did a live stream of it, I don't know. That's also another one that's lends itself better to a live stream, I think. But even then, it was kind of boring to watch, and you can only get so much out of it. Like, I can sit down and play it for an hour, but then I have to give up on it because it just, after a while, it just gets on my nerves after a while. I don't know why. I enjoy the game, but I can only play it in like hour spurts, and then I'm like, okay, I've played a bunch of matches. Let me just end it here. So in one way, it would be good as a series that I did, because then I can just edit out, the matches that are terrible and make myself look good. No, I can just edit some of the matches so that, if they're kind of boring to watch, then like if I blow somebody out or I get blown out or something like that, then you can kind of get rid of those and just show the more highlighted ones or ones that are a little bit more exciting, I don't know. But again, that would benefit more from like a collab or something, which I just can't do collabs. It's not that I don't want to do them, it's that I am so scattershot with what times I record, because I don't know when I'm going to get home. Usually I get home usually I have a pattern. I come home, I eat, and I record and all that stuff, but it's at nighttime, and there's no guarantee I'll be able to record one night or not, because I might be just too wiped out or something of that nature, and it's just, I am really bad with that stuff. Like, if I was doing this, full time all day long, it wouldn't be so bad, because then I'd have time and we could have set times to do things. But doing it as a hobby, and I've got other responsibilities to do, and my weekends are, even though I record a bunch on the weekends, they are still very busy weekends. Like, I can't sit down for some period of time, but then, the next weekend I might not be able to, and it's just, then there's time zones. It's just bad. I wish I could do more, but it's just not. I feel like that would make the videos a lot more interesting too, as having another person to key off of, but I just can't do it. I don't have the time, Captain. Cannot change the laws of physics. How did I get off on that tangent? I have no idea. This is going to be a tangent-filled episode, because I am tired as balls right now. Tired as balls. So all the tangents shall be had. So cool. So I guess I should get to some of the actual news on here, because I got a bunch of things written down. Gamescom, I believe, is finished now. That happened last week, and it was there were a bunch of announcements that were made. Not that many. There were a few, but they were pretty few and far between. And there's not. I mean, there were mostly the AAAs that did major announcements. I don't know about the indie devs, how many did, because it's a little bit harder to get information from them for Gamescom, because you look at all the coverage, and a lot of the coverage that people did on Gamescom were just the AAAs. So it's hard to see. It's hard to know how the indies did there. But I've been trying to look around for stuff, and what I can do is talk about some of the things that I did, some of the trailers that I've seen come out of it, and some of the news articles that have come out of Gamescom. And then of course we've got PAX Prime coming up in a few weeks, so maybe a lot more will come out from PAX Prime as well. It's convention season, my friends. It's convention season. So we'll start out with Homefront: The Revolution. So I will link you to a article that has the trailer for Homefront: The Revolution on it. I've been looking around for stuff. The trailer, the nice thing about their Gamescom trailer is that it does show some gameplay through it. This game is a sequel to Homefront. Was it Homefront? Yeah, the original Homefront, which I think it was just called Homefront, which I think took place in a different city. I don't remember what city it took place in, but this one is supposed to take place in Philadelphia, so that's why it ends up on my radar for time to time. And it's got a little bit of an open world to it, but it sounds like it's still got a lot of linearity in that world, and it looks like it too from some what I was seeing there. I mean, there's a lot of ramps to drive your motorcycles up and around on, and to drive from one rooftop to another and things like that. It feels very well. It feels like it's planned out a little bit more than say an open world would be. That said, I kind of dig what I was seeing on it. I mean, it's a third person, it's action game. Was it third person? No, it's first. Yeah, I think it was third person. Everything's running together in my brain right now. I think it was. No, it was first person. No, it was first person, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's switched between the two, but it's one of those. It's kind of, it's kind of open worldy. It's a little bit like. It reminds me a little bit of Dying Light, at least aesthetically, but gameplay it doesn't look the same. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the Batman games, but even that, I mean, Batman games were far more open world than this one looked like. So I don't know what to make of it yet. All I could do is leave you the link, and you can watch the trailer for yourself. It's going to be something that I am going to take another look at some point, because I can't resist when things are made in areas that are meant to resemble areas that I know. So I can't resist that. I wanted to take a look at that and just see. But that's not until next year. It's been pushed back to 2016. So those are the breaks. It's a nice trailer. It's just not. It's kind of ho hum in some of the. It's well worn path as far as the game mechanics and stuff go, as far as we could tell from the trailer anyway. So that said, I don't know what it's like to actually play or not, but that's what it seemed like from the trailer. It was well to do. It was well worn rug where the foot traffic has been. We got another trailer for Mirror's Edge Catalyst, and I am excited. I cannot wait. Cannot wait to get my fingers on that, get my grubby little paws on it, and play it. The trailer shows Faith running around. First of all, doing some kind of spatial puzzles, which you had a little bit of spatial puzzles in the first game. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's got like the spatial puzzles that's to do. And I'm like, well, kind of, but it's I remember in the first game, like having to look around for the actual routes to take to get around things, for better routes and all that stuff. So, and it was kind of the same thing there. So I don't know what they meant by new mechanic, but maybe there's maybe they didn't realize that. I don't know. And I'm talking about critics here. I don't think the Mirror's Edge team says it's a new mechanic. I think they pretty much know what the first game did and are modeling it after that. There's what I noticed in the trailer was that there were like little icons around. She actually runs by one. That I don't know if that was part of the it didn't look like it was part of the building she was on, but it could have been. But it looked like one of those icons that you see around the world, like if you're in an open world game where it's like, hey, here's a race stunt here, and here's a capture the flag game over this way, and all that stuff. You know, like just as indicators that there's something there to do. So I saw those. That was it was a little bit jarring, but it was understandable given the open world nature of it. So I was just kind of found it a little bit odd that it was there. Nobody really mentioned it in their articles. So I saw that part, and that's, you know, from what I understand, I listened to the GameSpot commentators, and they were saying that they got their hands on with Mirror's Edge Catalyst, and they said that there was some, you know, one of the first missions that you run is actually a race mission. So you go out and you race other runners, I suppose, and then try to get in first with that. So you can already kind of see where the things are going to start to flesh out. You know, it looks like there's going to be race type things. There's going to be, I imagine, mission type things. You know, main mission stuff. And then I don't know what they're going to do in the way of side quests other than the races. Or I imagine they're going to have like challenges, probably. I would imagine, or you know, score or time attack, probably stuff. Who knows? Who knows? But I imagine there's going to be plenty of that to do around the world. And from that perspective, it looks kind of cool. And it looks like they've got a lot more moves for Faith now. She's far more fluid than she was even in the first game. Though my BS meter was going off a little bit during the trailer when I watch it, where there are certain sequences where I'm like, is this a cinematic or is this the actual gameplay? Right? Because there was no UI HUD, so which I assume they can hide anyway. But there was no runner's vision, which you didn't have runner's vision when you played in hard mode anyway, I think. So that, you know, and that was toggleable on and off. And runner's vision, by the way, is the thing that highlighted stuff in red. So he's like, hey, here's a way to go. But then again, being an open world, they might not be able to do runner's vision because you can literally go anywhere. Whereas the first game was linear, right? It's like, here's a path that's going to get you to where you want to be. And this one's like, hey, I don't know where you're going to try to go, but here you go. They apparently have some sort of GPS thing too that helps you along the way, which maybe they've integrated the runner's vision with the GPS. That would be kind of nice. That'd be interesting. So we saw some of that. We saw some of the combat. The combat in the trailer looked really good, really fluid. What I was getting at to my original point was, it looked like I couldn't tell the difference between cinematic and interactive. So like at one point she climbs up the wall and opens up a shade to get into a window. It opens up a window a little bit more. And I'm like, well, was that a press X to open window, or was that we're now in a cutscene? We just happen to get into a cutscene. Like, I don't know how many cutscenes are going to be versus how much actual gameplay there's going to be. You know, the first game had a combination of in-engine cutscenes and storyboard-like things. You know, like, you know, comic book-like things. Not comic book-like things, but animate stuff. That's the word I wanted to use. Holy crap! My words. Where are my words at? So from that perspective, that's the only like warning flag that went up in my head, was like, where's the line at here? Is it going to be one of those where it's like, all right, I'm going to run 5 feet and then, oh, nope, okay, I don't have control anymore. Or is it going to be no, you have control. It's just, you gotta press X to do this, press Y to do that, whatever. Kind of, not just interactive prompts, I guess, not the take control away from you kind of thing. But so I saw all that. That got me, as I said, really excited for it. I can't wait to see that. So that was my talk for Mirror's Edge Catalysts. Some more stuff here. So Crackdown 3 was unveiled at Gamescom, the trailer for it. I'm going to link you directly to the trailer because the news articles on it were not very helpful. But the trailer is kind of nice. And I think the interesting thing here is so I never played any of the Crackdown games. From what I understand, I went and looked them up. From what I understand, Crackdown 2 was largely panned because it was just kind of a clone of Crackdown 1. It was very similar. And then Crackdown 1. These are like third person action games. What would they be similar to? I guess kind of similar to like Middle-earth Shadows over Mordor, kind of, in that they're, action RPGs, but they're sci-fi ones. And actually probably they're closer, I would say, maybe to Just Cause, the Just Cause series of things. So I don't know the full story, other than there's a couple factions competing. There's been, for the city, one of them is like, hey, we're like law and order and we're gonna, stamp out all things. And the other one is sort of, hey, we're going to unleash this virus on the populace that turns them into freaks, and they actually succeed. And there's a bunch of whole freaks that roam the city that you have to deal with. And then there's like a third one that's the whatever the hero's side is on, that's sort of like the intermediary between the two, trying to get them all to come back to the table and hash out their differences and get rid of all this stuff and just make some kind of order out of the chaos that's there. And I think the interesting thing about Crackdown 3, other than the graphics were quite nice, but I believe this might be the first one in the series that's fully destructible. The environments are. And not only are the environments fully destructible, but they farmed out the physics calculations to the cloud. So if you trigger something that's going to cause your Xbox to slow down because it doesn't have enough processing power to deal with the physics calculations, it will open up a connection to the Xbox servers, the Xbox cloud, I guess the Microsoft Azure cloud, that's their cloud platform. And the calculations will happen out there and then get streamed back, the results of which will get streamed back to your console. So that's kind of an interesting concept. I think that it begs the question, what happens when those servers are no longer available? Because that's what these games tend to do, right? I mean, that gives the game a shelf life at that point. Unless the game itself knows how to deploy itself out to the cloud environment, which I doubt. So that's a thing. And what that allows them to do is basically whenever you overload your Xbox One, which I think this is an Xbox exclusive. Is it? Am I right on that? No, I didn't write it down here, so maybe it's not, but maybe it is. I don't know. It might be an Xbox exclusive. Is this Xbox exclusive? It might be, but it's the idea behind that is by farming out the physics calculations is that you can have multiple buildings. Like they show in the trailer, like you destroy a building piece by piece, and then finally that building collapses. And as it collapses, it hits other buildings, which then causes a domino effect, and those collapse, and so on and so forth. So with all those calculations going on, you would be, if they all happen locally, you would be sitting there with 1 frame per second as things go on, and you'd not be able to control your character. by farming that out to the cloud, they can make all those things actually happen. And I guess they have some sort of permanence in the game. I would imagine they do. Otherwise, that's a whole lot of processing power for no apparent gain. So that is interesting from that perspective. It looks like an interesting sort of sandbox romp, kind of, even though it's not really that much of a sandbox. I guess technically it would be. It's more, I would call it more open world than sandbox. So sandbox implies make your own adventure, whereas this is more of a, there's a story here and you can play it, and here's some side missions if you want those as well. From what I've gathered anyway. Oh man, voice is struggling right now, but I will make it. I will make it. I swear it. I will make it. Let's see what else I want to pull off of here. So, what is this one? So I could. This is a quick update here. Destiny, the game that I wish I could play. The game that I wish I'm going to sit down and try to play again at some point and see if it doesn't kick me out every 5 minutes because I'm playing on a wireless connection. Which with 100% signal, whatever. It's 100% signal and it's G or H, I think. Not G. Yeah, whatever the above G speeds are. I forget the letter now. But anyway, tangent there. Destiny is replacing Peter Dinklage, or is that was his name? Peter Dinklage? I think so. They're replacing him with Nolan North. They have a new expansion coming out, the Taken King, I think it was. And it's going to introduce a bunch of new changes to the game. First of all, Ghost is now going to be voiced by Nolan North, who is the voice behind Nathan Drake from the Uncharted series, amongst many other things. Well-known voice actor in the biz for games as well, along with Troy Baker and a few others. He will be voicing Ghost for the expansion, and then they thought, well, since he's going to be doing that, and the expansion changes a lot of the mechanics of the game, they decided to Bungie, that is, this Bungie. I hope I'm saying the right word there, because it's so late and my brain is not working right now. But they are, Bungie, I believe, they had to recast it for the expansion, and they decided that since the expansion is changing a lot of the mechanics of the game, that they wanted to keep Ghost, and they want to keep the storyline and the universe consistent. So they're replacing all of Peter Dinklage's lines with Nolan North throughout the game. So even when you start a new game, you will have him as your new Ghost if you have the expansion. Amongst that, they're also changing the way you level up in the game. It used to be that you level up through light. You have to gather light. You have experience points, but then that's not what levels you up. It's the light that will level you up. They're doing away with that and going back to the regular old experience points. And experience points will level you up as you do things. So then, and I believe the level cap will go up to 40 at that point as well. If I read it correctly, I don't remember if that was the case or not. And yeah, there's a couple other tweaks that they're going to make to the game to try to, I guess, make it a little. I don't know if they're addressing the grindiness of it or not. They're just making it different now. I guess I don't know what exactly they were addressing by it. Maybe it was getting too grindy. Maybe towards the end it was, you pretty much had everything that you needed, and there was no reason to keep leveling. I don't know. I haven't gotten to the end game on it. I barely got past the first level in the retail version. Like I played I played all through the demo without any problems. the early beta that I played, and then once I tried to play the full release, it wouldn't work. I just kept getting kicked every 5 minutes from the servers. So yeah, there's that. So that is that's I'll link you to Destructoid article that explains it in far better terms than I can explain it in, far more detail than I can explain it. But there's that. So that's happening in Destiny, and Destiny is continuing to be a very popular game and still has some longevity. And someday Destiny, I will be able to play, and you will not be so broken, hopefully. Maybe there's enough people have dropped off of it now that I won't get kicked out of servers. I don't know. I haven't had my Xbox One on for a while, and that's going to change soon, but it's hasn't been on for a while, so there's probably a bunch of patches that I haven't downloaded yet. There's also the whole DLC stuff that I haven't downloaded yet, the expansion passes and all that stuff I haven't done, just because I couldn't play the full vanilla game as it was. So it felt like, why would I buy these if I can't play the vanilla game? But I'm hoping at some point I can get back into Destiny, do a live stream of it, and just have it actually work for me. That would be really swell. Man, I got so many things on here too. There's like new stuff that I just found out about that's actually not really new stuff, but it's I'm just finding out about it, I guess. It's new to me. I don't know if it's new to you guys, but it's new to me. A bunch of those games here. But oh man, I want to talk about a few of them. Well, let me at least get one more piece of news out of here. And then I gotta end this because I am just fading really fast here. I can just feel it. I can feel the darkness closing in around me. The eyes are not quite open anymore. Tales from the Borderlands. Apparently episode 4 is going to be coming very soon. Probably the speculation is it might come the week after PAX Prime, which is coming in a couple weeks. So maybe the first week of September, maybe, possibly, which is really cool. What the article mentions here, though, that I'll link you to, is that people who attend PAX Prime will be able to play Tales from the Borderlands Episode 4 as a crowd. It'll be a crowd play event where basically somebody will be controlling the game, and they'll ask for people in lines, I guess, to shout out their answers that they want, and whichever one wins is whatever one they'll pick in the game. So you'll be able to, as you're attending the conference, you'll be able to watch them playing through the new episode of it. I heard a rumor, and I don't know how substantiated it is, but I heard a rumor that Tales from the Borderlands is not selling very well, which shocks me, because if I compare that to Game of Thrones, like, Tales from the Borderlands blows Game of Thrones away. I mean, the story is good in Game of Thrones, but it's depressing as hell, and it's just not... None of your choices really matter. And of course, even in Tales from the Borderlands, your choices don't really matter that much either, because you can see where the branching storylines happen and where they don't, where they come back together again. But it more than makes up for that failing with its comedy, and it's just all the characters in that are just people that you just love. I just love those characters that they've created in Tales from the Borderlands, and it pains me that it may not be selling very well at all for them, because the characters are really good in it. I would say better than the characters in Game of Thrones. The characters in Game of Thrones, honestly, I don't really care for them. I really don't. The only character in Game of Thrones I actually can say that I actually care about is the brother that was I forget his name now. He was over across the sea with Khaleesi and all that stuff, because he got told off and said he had to leave. He got exiled. He's about the only one in that game that I actually give a damn about. Like all the other ones, just really couldn't care less about. They're just boring or not well fleshed out or otherwise just typical tropes, right? And he's like, I mean, he's kind of a trope too, but he's I don't know, he's the only character in that game I actually give a damn about. If they made the entire game just, like the entire final episode just around him, I'd probably be happy with it. But when it comes to Tales from the Borderlands, though, man, I love all the characters in that. All the characters in that are great. And I guess the humor helps to make that happen because every one of them just feels good. I mean, Vaughn got a little bit shafted in the last episode. Like, I saw some other Let's Players who took Fiona's, who had Fiona, as their pick from episode 2. I saw that Vaughn spends pretty much half the episode completely paralyzed, which is funny because he wasn't paralyzed in my playthrough because I took Captain Jack Harkness. No, Handsome Jack. I took him as my pick, and so Vaughn wasn't. He was still usable throughout the episode, and there's actually some lines that were really good. Like he talks about how he's hit some of his fears and stuff about being left behind, which is ironic because the entire episode he does nothing. He literally does nothing. He like pokes a dead guy with a stick, and that's about it. Like he sits this episode out, and he sits it out even on the other pathway too. But it was just, I don't know. I found it very. I find it a very fun game to play, like a very fun story to participate in. Much more so, I look forward more to that than I do, the Game of Thrones stuff. So I don't know. That pains me. If that rumor is true, that pains me greatly that it's not doing so hot. I would hope that it's doing really well. I honestly, it should be their bestseller, if I'm to be totally honest. But I don't know. Maybe it's just, I don't know. Maybe people are just tired of the Telltale formula where there's an illusion of choice, but it's not actually there. But that, my friends, will do it for this episode of Cube Ramblings. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and I will see you next Sunday.